just several percent out of 100 would reach that. Alexander Zykov, Ivan Menyalev, and Alexandra Sevastyanova. These is a group of 3 people from the world of startups who will share the secrets of how to turn an idea into a working business product. Okay? Okay, let's begin.
Всем привет, меня зовут Александр Зыков, и я сегодня...
My name is Alexander Zykov, and today I will start my presentation. Just to begin with, let me say a few words about my own startup, how we can create startups, and when you have any idea, how it can be put into life, how to find necessary funding, and how to create a product.
Всем привет еще раз, меня зовут Александр Зыков.
Hello everyone, once again, my name is Alexander Zykov, I'm CEO of Automarket startup, and I'm a second-year student of the High School of Economics. I'm dealing with the project management. I have my own startup. I have a team of 10 people, and also I'm working with the major retailers. And I won lots of Russian international contests. I have a huge experience in that, and this is something that I'm going to tell you about. Once you have an idea how it could be put into practice. Let's start with saying that every idea has to reveal a problem. So you have to understand why you are doing that and what you are doing that for. So originally you have certain case you want to sell that. So artificial intelligence, or there is any other technology under the hood, but you do not understand the nerd of it. What happened to me? Many times I would change my technologies, and I realized that not you have to come up with an idea, but rather you have to start with talking to all the stakeholders in the market. In the retail business, I have a lot of customers and the people who, for instance, would be the head of the flagship shop or a customer or a sales assistant. You have to understand the requirements of these people and offer the best solutions for them. And now we have developed certain solutions. We have smart cards with autopilot, with the technology of scanning the products, a technology of small shops and outlets, and trackers for the employees. But these products rested on 2 major solutions that we have developed and that started bringing the fruits. That's a navigation technology that we developed at the very first stage of our career. It means that after we identified the requirements of our customers, we developed a solution. That's a high-tech solution that helps to identify the whereabouts within a shop, a dark store, or the distribution center. And these solutions took some time to materialize. Also, we have a scanning technology. That's another solution aimed at identifying the product with the help of scanning, and then we thought about how to sell our technologies the right way and came up with the conclusion that you have to understand the business model of the project. You have to step-by-step address the problems to understand what resources you have, what sales channels are there, how we can set an agreement with our potential clients. Very often we change the tactics. Either those would be the platforms, fora, where we'd be speaking about the project, and or these would be one-on-one meetings where we would meet interesting people who would connect us to some specific people in the sales networks or chains. So after that, you have to analyze the market. You have to understand that there is a market in Russia, and you have to understand what you would start with. It might be some region, or there might be some part of the corporation, the very first corporation. That would be the main one, where you're going to do the pilot. And after that, you have to understand what companies you can sell that to. For instance, you make a business plan, proceeding from the fact that we have a business corporation and you enter the market not only of Russia, but also of neighboring countries as well. After that,
На рынке существуют конкуренты. То есть конкурентный анализ — это достаточно
you certainly have competitors in that market. A competitive survey, that's a very good tool to get better knowledge. But every year you may see a new competitor who may replicate certain assumptions and certain technologies that you have developed and can steal it from you.
и делать что-то новое. То есть это
And therefore, you have to do something new all the time. You should not lag behind the market, and every year you have to offer something new.
есть в нашей стране, которые есть на зарубежном рынке. И таким плодотворным
And you have to replicate that from the market. And therefore, we proceed from the fact that our company is developing for 2.5 years. We have tested lots of assumptions, and we have identified the scale of our product. And we won international and Russian contest. I'm a winner of international contest in China and in Dubai.
подтвердили
After that,
несколько
we confirmed our assumption with several
дальше и планируем
chains, and now we are developing further, and we plan for a full-fledged implementation later on.
необходимо
Your journey
ресурсы
has to be accompanied by some media resources, just like we have gathered for today's forum, to confirm our assumptions there, speak about our project
внедрять. То есть у вас
in order to implement that with success later on. It means
развиваю
that we have a certain cybersecurity solution that I'm developing for quite a while, and therefore I can be confident that I fulfilled myself as a speaker and as an expert.
необходимо строить стратегические планы и краткосрочные планы.
You have to build strategic plans, short-term plans of your project.
Я строил план, который сейчас
And I built a plan that
который стратегический на несколько
was short-term and the one
полноценно
which I
представлять, что хочет
planned for several years ahead. You have to understand what the company wants, what products it wants, and who it cooperates with in order to promote those products. And probably the last key thing that I left for the dessert, that's the project team. Without that, no project would materialize from an idea to a working
продукта.
startup. You have to cherry pick people for your product. You have to understand who you're working with. You have to understand the psychological types and profiles of the people you're working with. This is another very important thing. Who is working with you, how he or she develops, and is he good for you, for your product, and is he going to work for the sake of the project, or this is just a burden put on your shoulders that doesn't give any KPIs, and you have to move to another person,
Готов вкладываться в развитие проекта.
and who
В части у меня на этом
would help you to
все.
promote the project. So in essence, I'm done with my presentation. If you're interested in the development of retail, IT, and robotics,
Я отвечу
you can get in touch with me using those contact data
со мной и вместе с моей командой.
and join me to develop retail of the future. And I will proceed with the next part of our presentation. Ivan will tell you in more detail about investments,
Готового решения, готов
how the project at the state of a ready-made stage and already tested assumptions can raise investments. Ivan, over to you.
Я продолжу хлопать. Я упорная.
Let me continue putting my hands together. Thank you so much, Sasha, for a very good
Сегодня расскажу вам про инвестиции.
intro. I will tell you about investments and some introductory words. Why me? Why I'm speaking about one of the most difficult and at the same time delicate things that would require lengthy studying.
В моем пути у нас было 10
On my way,
отказов, и в итоге мы привели
we had 10 denials from investors, and at the end of the day, we raised
в России
10 million, and we were among top 10
и топ-3 инноваций.
in Russia. Then we were in top 3 innovations in Russia, and I decided to divide that topic into several categories. And as far as I was given 10 minutes for that, and the topic is huge, I put forward an objective to actually explain that topic with several bullet points or lines, the lines you have to study, so that you could
И иметь какие-то шансы. Потому что вы
have some knowledge about that topic, because the foundation you start with is
самое простое.
what matters. First of all, how to invite investors, how to ensure big check. So, Ivan, how you raised 20 million
Стартап — это про узнавание.
and how to convert that into the mass media. Startup, that's about awareness. When we create certain business, that's very important that the people learn about that and buy from us.
Бояться отказов.
And let's start with saying that you should not be afraid of denials.
Это не значит, что
For instance, when 10 times you said no, it doesn't mean that the business idea is not good. But probably there are people who did not assess that the correct way.
этого
According to statistics,
статистика очень большая.
that global statistics
Airbnb привлек
says that only 1 in 20 investors would be invited. So the Google raised the investments, actually only 13th time. Don't be afraid of pitching in front of any client. So you go to a forum just to talk to a friend that there was a business angel who gave you money. So it happens by accident. That's a very frequent story. And many say that
выборка, очень много проектов, люди.
that's a big selection and many projects. People raise money only once the sales volume is huge, but no, this is not true. So, well, probably business angel would say, oh, our fund doesn't do that, but I know a guy who would be eager to do that. And if you are not pitching in front of everyone, you lose 1/3 of the chances to raise money.
Это когда вы полностью меняете бизнес-модель. Мы не могли привлечь 9 раз, потому что мы
We 9 times we failed on raising money because we did not present the idea the right way. And when we did 2 pilots in months' time and we came to the investor with a total different pitch, we immediately raised money. And 67% of successful startups would at least make 1 pilot. So at least once they would say this business model doesn't work. So this happens to all the corporations at the same time. An average pitch that's about 5 to 10 minutes. This is your time when you have to understand clearly what you are saying. Sometimes you have only 1 minute for getting acquainted with someone. My company is involved in the
это примерно как платеж.
production of the smart locks. And within 10 seconds, I explained the very essence of our project. And you have to have the same pitch that in front of any person. You should be able to stand up and explain what you are doing without technical details. Once you have invited, once you have attracted the investor, he would ask for more details. At the same time, you have to understand how the investors are thinking. And very often, actually, I'm asked how I approach an investor and say, please help me, I cannot raise money. What I tell him, so no, it doesn't work like that. We're like in the 21st century. So you can just come to any platform and see, for instance, Oscar Hartman and other people who are just getting interviews from well-known people, and you would understand what is needed for you in order to show to an investor that your project really would worth certain amount of money, time, some risk to be taken. Because investments, that's about risk. High check.
Ваня, как привлечь высокий чек? Я всегда говорю, ребята,
Even how we raise big money, I always ask, do you need big money? Because that's about huge responsibility. You would
и при этом вы должны
certainly run a bigger team. You have to bear more responsibility. You have to understand where
следить.
you would spend that money on. Because once you raise a lot of money, the people would monitor you. But once you have a lot of money, you are not so limited in terms of the
Огромное количество времени.
team. And there are areas where you do not need so much money because you can raise a lot of money, but there is nothing that you would spend that money on. So a business model would not be appropriate for that investment. It will not pay back. And you have to ask those questions. And that slide, I show advantages and disadvantages of these models. Now, a few words about the problems. First of all, the problem of big check. That's a big risk. For instance, you have 20 million and a student comes to you, and or just a person who wants to start a business, and he says, I have a great idea. So would you give 20 million to such a person? No. And suddenly the investor
Сама по себе довольно.
invests a huge money, but the chances that it would work are quite low. Therefore, you have to explain clearly why you need so much money, and how are you going to spend that, and what team is going to be there, and why for that business model this is so relevant. First of all, you have to show that this is a business model which is very well scalable. So locks, this is everything that could be unlocked, and NFC technology can be used everywhere. You can use that for kick scooters, for cars, for safety. So the scalability of that model has no limits. So the only question is about the country, and if we move to another country, it is quite simple. For instance, once you are selling donuts and donuts with a certain stuffing, it is not a scalable model. This is either quite expensive, it's a problem for a restaurant, and certainly you will not be given huge money for that. But at the same time, it has to have an innovation, otherwise you will not prove what is new about that. There are lots of competitors, and you have to understand that the investors have to see
Ему нужно это окупить.
some essence in that for little money. The only problem is to explain why you need so much money. For instance, investor put 5 million rubles into you and something failed. So that's a big risk. You have to explain to them why this is like that and not like that. A few words about mass media, how to monetize them. Once you actually have attracted a lot of investments.
Это очень важно, это репутация, это продажи, в целом здесь
That's about the reputation, the image, and
всё. Здесь
awareness. It depends on everything. That's a scheme on the slide
выглядит структура СМИ,
as to how the mass media structure looks like once we discuss the KPIs. So that's about business. This is not about a project that works for the startup or doesn't work for the startup.
чтобы
That's a project.
редакторы выполнили свой KPI.
When the editors-in-chief would meet their KPIs once they publish a lot of articles with a lot of views, and either the mass media would become your partner, for instance, like the Innovators Academy, which does that every now and then. At the same time, there are managers who would be looking for some precedents in the market if you have created innovation
Вы создаете прецедент,
that enjoyed a lot of investments, you would create a precedent that the mass media would be eager to speak about. We were in all the top media, including Forbes.
все разы мы попали туда бесплатно. Потому что
And all the time, we were there for free because it was just beneficial for the media.
прежде всего инвестор
Some of the takeaways, first of all, investor looks for the profit and
ресурсов на самом
the future.
деле, чем людей. То есть
Russia has much more resources than money,
реальных предпринимателей
than people. So it means that the money that could be raised is much bigger than the number of startups or ideas. If you show to the investor that you are the one to spend that money appropriately, they would trust you because these people are just cherry-picked. Make focus on the product and the mass media would come to you on their own. That's the rule of the game. If your product is good, you will always be able to sell that. You have to understand the essence of the system.
понимание системы,
Just any
инструменты,
understanding of the system would give you necessary tools, how those systems might be used for your sake. And I'm guided by that item throughout my life and understand what KPI has to be met so that other people help me. And a few words about utility.
телеграм-канал наш.
The left-hand side, Quarkout, this is a Telegram channel of our company. It has the materials that we publish. We just put them on. We don't have info business. Whatever we do, we publish, and you're free to take that. These are all the presentations that got awards, and we won several awards, including the international ones. And this is where you can find that
У меня на больше чем 300 тысяч просмотров про то, как
article. It has more than several thousands of views. What problems I run into,
все это надо,
and there were
когда мы
just situations when I thought that I'd rather quit when we gathered with the team and we said, if we don't win or get investments in 2 weeks' time, then we will just quit. And 2 weeks after, we got the award from Innovators of Moscow. Thank you so much and subscribe to us. I do think it would be useful to you. And I pass the floor to Alexandra. She will tell you what should be done next once you have raised investments.
Спасибо.
Thank you so much.
Пожалуйста. Итак,
May I have my presentation, please?
мне придется вас немножечко.
Let me introduce myself.
Люди, которые считают себя
Are there any creative people who believe that they're creative enough? That's excellent. One person. Okay. Are there any students there? Or those who plan to get enrolled? Or those who want to have a lot of money for some push, cool idea? That's great. So many more such people. So my Actually, a report is designed for you. Who I am? My name is Sasha. Understand that you are more than 4 years old, so you can read something about me on this slide. But most importantly about me, I'm a founder with experience. What it means, a seasoned startup founder, it means that I run into all the mistakes. I made errors wherever I can, and now I can tell from that stage my journey. So the most important thing I'm going to tell you is about how I ran into problems and how I got out of that. It all started in 2022. I was 22 years old. And along with the co-founder, representative of science, we worked for science. At that time, we decided to make a startup, some startup for animation. Just something for cartoons. We called that Garage Netflix, Russian Netflix, and that was a very good plan for that, to approach the future users, future animation studios, to ask them what they need, to do what they need, to show to them, they will give us money, and that's it. And this is how to become a billionaire. We followed that roadmap. There was a problem on the way. In the 20th century, the frames would be made one by one. So this is how the animation has been drawn. So seemingly it had to be automated, but now this is just like you write your own thesis manually. Why doing that? Because we have ChatGPT. So your neural networks emerged, and we are smart ones, and we got investments in order to. So we approached an investor. We showed that that's a huge market, that's a huge solution. Investor said, "Okay, here is your money, and develop your neural network." And we have developed that, and it still works. That's most important. And it automatically may make some interim frames. So you draw the end of the movement and the end of the movement, and something in between could be done by the neural network. And we were happy, but we ran into one problem. So the neural network was working, so we test everything, and it is great, and the animators say, "That's cool." And how would it take you to make that? You run 4 hours, and the neural network does that within 15 minutes. So no one buys it. So it is quite competitive, but no one buys. 0 sales, because animators are afraid of the neural networks, being afraid of being substituted. And we were among accelerators, Bear 500. We showed our neural networks. The problem was that no one was eager to buy our product, and made a pivot. We realized that 2D animation is not needed for anyone, especially to business. So the cartoons are needed only once they are supported by something else. For instance, when they increase the trust for the pharmaceutical companies, or for instance, when they improve the metrics, improving the engagement of the customers. And now we are working as the animation studio. So instead of replacing the animators, we proceeded with making cartoons ourselves. We make the sales increase tool. So it means that we can do whatever projects possible, so starting from improving the ERV, the reach out, the conversion at any funnel, and just adding with just being a reliable contractor you can congratulate. I think you can put hands together for that. We finally found that business model that we feel very well with. But my report is not about that. I'm speaking about the roadmaps, and I'm saying some smart words. But why us? The students, the people with ideas. Why that? Just in order to summarize my experience and in order to make some takeaways and understand. Let me be a seasoned founder now. What was so cool about what we were doing, what helped me, and what in essence was hindering? That was cool that I had a team, that we gathered that team, that we knew how to work with, that we were creative people, personal qualities, ability to achieve results without listening to criticism, etc. Self-evolvement or development. We realized that we are restricted by some external things, such as how to to survive in science, how to earn more money, and once we
Стать лучше для того, чтобы быть фаундером какого-нибудь там стартапа.
actually said that how to become a unicorn ideally. Well, it all moved differently, so the good education played its role, and
Помогли. Мы набрали гигантскую
all those accelerators that we worked with were of help because we have made a pool of contacts, and I can take any idea and propagate that immediately. That was good. What was not so good, first of all, is that there was no experience of startupping.
как это закрыть непонятно.
So, and sadly, we didn't know what to do with that, and probably I will put an end to that then.
Вот кто любит продать?
Inability to sell. Who loves sales assistants?
20 человек.
Who says, okay, I'm fond of sales assistants, I love to do shopping? No. So we are doing a lot just for you, because of you, and as for the rest, just imagine that you did your idea,
Пользователю
and you have to come to a user,
уже не происходит, приходится
and magic happens, but no magic happens. You just have to sell your product, and
для того, чтобы быть, в конце концов,
this is a routine thing, but you have to do in order to be a billionaire and a unicorn. Now look at those clouds, and there are tears on my eyes.
Поэтому
There was no
полезно, и я стараюсь.
mentor who would tell us what to do, and therefore I try to
Ну и, конечно,
tell people about my experience, hoping that they will not repeat my mistakes. I feel that's very important to look at what market you are going and what is so valuable for them, because when you're telling the animator that the neural network would replace them, certainly they would deny that.
делать
Okay,
в такой ситуации.
what should be done? What could be done in such a situation? So that's me. I'm great. I'm sitting on a couch, and
Или отдыхать.
the summer would come very soon, and either I would work or probably not work, and I have an idea that eventually would bring me a lot of money. But in a sense, the first thing you have to do is to act. You have to collect your friends, tell them about that idea. And for instance, ask one else. For instance, here at this conference, you may say to anyone, hello, my name is like that, I have this idea. Probably this is the way you would collect a team. Anyway, this is a good thing that you may do now without procrastinating or delaying that for the later. Just any grants, any subsidies. They are very numerous, because that's why you can find what is close to your heart and what will help you.
Очень, очень.
Trust me, the state gives a lot of money to the entrepreneurs just because they are great, because they are doing good things and they are moving our economy forward. Why not joining those efforts and get your benefit from that, making a good product?
Конечно же, в акселераторах вы можете научиться чему-то по-настоящему.
And obviously, when you work with Accelerator, you can get new experience and maybe even understand something better after you graduate from the university. You don't have to work according to the profession and specialty you chose when you studied there. We have multifaceted world, and you can find new passion in there. And finally, something which is not that exactly obvious when you work with different limits, when you work in science, when you work in different things, when you have a textbook, you know what to do, so that the manager does not pester you, you know what to do, how to be happy. But it doesn't work like this in business. When you set sails on your own, it does not work, and you have to manage this. And it's up to you for you to find your way.
Сканировать QR-код.
And here you can see the QR code for our startup channel. As you can see, we are great people. You can see what we do, how we do this. And the second QR code is for my personal Telegram channel, where I tell about myself, about me, like I'm a great specialist. And I provide valuable content on how to get rid of anxiety, how to do useful exercises, and to be the happy version of myself, if you will. But at any way, you might have absolutely amazing ideas, rich life, and this is not an irony. This is what you should do. And thank you for your attention. And I would like to invite other speakers to come to me to the stage here. We are ready to answer your questions. We will be up there on the right side. For you, it will be on the left. We will be able to answer any of your questions. Basically, have a great day. Alexandra is my favorite female name. Absolutely amazing presentation. You got like exactly to the core, exactly to the soul with your limits, especially the last 5 years after 2020. So many limitations where we have to do this. We're not hired, we are interpreters, we are we are people who work for ourselves, and this is what we do. And I wake up every morning trying to manage numbers, and I go to sleep every morning trying to manage those account numbers. But what you say is very important. It's very Alexander Sevastianov, Alexander Zivik, Ivan Minyaov, absolutely amazing people. These are the heroes.